My hand violently trembled as I opened my banking app, tears burning down my cheeks while I sat alone in my car. "Get this beggar out," my father had sneered to the entire room, his voice dripping with disgust. My mother's eyes deliberately avoided mine as security gripped my arm. My heart pounded against my chest, knowing that with one swipe, their entire world would shatter and they would never see it coming. Betrayal has a steep price.
The words hit like shattered glass against my skin as I stood there in the hotel lobby, dressed in my tailored navy suit. "Get this beggar out," my father said, loud enough for everyone to hear. The security guard's hand hovered near my elbow, not quite touching me. Embarrassment flickered across his face. I watched my mother's eyes dart away from mine, refusing to make contact. My sister Victoria's lips curled into that familiar smirk I'd seen since childhood, the one that said she'd won again. My name is Rachel Parker. I'm 35, and this is the story of how I turned an invitation revocation into financial revelation. The betrayal shouldn't have surprised me. For years, I'd been the family ATM, the successful but difficult daughter who could be counted on to fund everything from emergency home repairs to luxury vacations, always with the promise that I was investing in family. What they didn't know as they celebrated in that grand ballroom was that I quite literally had been. The venue they'd chosen for their exclusive family celebration was rented under my LLC. The gourmet catering with the champagne fountain my mother insisted was essential was paid from my business account. The airline tickets for relatives flying in from across the country were all processed through my corporate card. They thought it came from my father's retirement package, a fiction he'd maintained to preserve his image as the family patriarch and provider. The truth? He hadn't received anything beyond a gold watch and a modest pension that barely covered their monthly expenses. I didn't scream or cause a scene as I walked away. I simply straightened my back, maintained eye contact with the security guard to signal I'd leave with dignity, and walked steadily to my car in the parking garage. I navigated through the hotel's marble corridors and down the concrete ramp to level B, where my car waited, my mind already mapping out my next steps. Only after I'd closed the door did I allow my hands to tremble slightly as I opened my banking app. $7,200. Banquet catering. Cancelled. $12,000. Victoria's Maldives honeymoon flights. Revoked. $4,800. Mom's spa weekend with her book club. Terminated. $52,000. Beach condo monthly payments. FROZEN. By the time I pulled into my driveway 20 minutes later, my phone was vibrating continuously. First my parents, then my sister, then numbers I didn't recognize. Then a forceful pounding at my front door that made my heart jump into my throat. Through the peephole, I saw Victoria's husband, Jared, his face flushed crimson, shirt wrinkled and half untucked. I silently slid the deadbolt into place and reached for the thick folder I'd prepared 3 years ago, the one labeled contingency in my neat block handwriting. "You need to fix this right now," he shouted through the door without so much as a hello. "They just canceled our food. The hotel won't release the rooms, and our honeymoon tickets got voided while we were literally checking in online." I leaned against the doorframe, the solid wood between us. "Strange," I replied, keeping my voice neutral. "Sounds like someone didn't verify who actually owned those payments." He blinked rapidly, processing my words. "You did this because they kicked you out." "No," I said, feeling oddly calm. "I did this because they forgot the fundamental rule of biting the hand that feeds you. Make sure that hand isn't holding all the receipts." He tried peering past me into my apartment, maybe searching for signs of my parents, maybe looking for hints of regret on my part, but regret had checked out of this situation long ago. I held up the folder, thick, tabbed, color-coded inside. Signed contracts with my LLC listed as financial sponsor, cancellation clauses with my signature as sole authority, payment reversals processed within the hour of their betrayal. I tapped it against my palm. I warned them 3 years ago that if they treated me like a bank, I'd start acting like one. "You're punishing the entire family," he hissed, his voice dropping as a neighbor walked past. A smile touched my lips. "No, I'm protecting my investment and cutting my losses." His face darkened. "They're your parents." They called me a beggar in front of 40 people. He had no response for that, just turned on his heel, muttering something about lawyers and taking this higher. But here's the thing about financial hierarchies. You can't climb higher than the person who holds the ledger, the contracts, and the backup drive. I closed the door, walked to my home office, placed the folder down, and opened a fresh one labeled Inheritance Audit, Phase 2. By morning, my inbox contained 32 new messages, some politely pleading, some openly threatening, all tinged with panic. My mother wrote, "We didn't mean what we said. Emotions were high. Can we talk?" My father sent nothing directly, just a forwarded invoice from the venue, now unpaid and demanding immediate payment. But my favorite came from the family group thread I'd been removed from years ago, a screenshot sent by my cousin. "Rachel's always been sensitive. She'll come crawling back. She always does." I laughed aloud in my empty kitchen, then replied to the entire group. "Just a reminder, I own the crawl space and I've changed all the locks." No one responded. That afternoon, an unexpected message appeared in my inbox from Franklin, my parents' accountant. He requested a meeting to discuss certain irregularities he'd noticed, specifically that payments for their beloved beach condo hadn't been coming from their trust as they'd claimed, but from an LLC he couldn't identify. My parents had given him my email years ago when I first started handling their tax documents, and he'd kept it in his records. Mine. When we spoke, I confirmed his suspicions, then asked the question I'd been waiting 3 years to voice. Have they declared that condo as their asset in annual filings? The silence stretched for several seconds. They've claimed it as an inheritance gift from a private family investor, he finally admitted. No documentation provided. So they hadn't just been ungrateful. They'd committed fraud, used my generosity to build equity in a property I technically still owned under my company's name. Franklin asked if I'd be willing to sign a declaration for tax records. "Absolutely," I replied, after I call my lawyer to discuss how quickly we can serve them papers that will make that condo, and every unpaid cent, legally untouchable. Within 48 hours, my attorney Tiffany confirmed when I called. Perfect. Because this wasn't about family anymore, it was about fraud. The next day, I drove to Tiffany's downtown office where the sleek furnishings matched her no-nonsense approach. By noon, the papers were drafted. A cease and desist for slander, misrepresentation, and unauthorized use of funds, plus a property reassignment filing that removed any verbal claim my parents had over the beach condo. Tiffany slid the documents across her polished desk. "They'll try to call your bluff." I smiled. They already did. That banquet was the bluff. The process server confirmed delivery an hour later. Just like that, the family celebration transformed into a financial reckoning. That night, a voicemail from my mother, tearful, rambling, accusatory. "You're destroying us over what? A misunderstanding? You always do this. Always so dramatic." Dramatic. The word used to silence daughters while they foot the bill. If you follow through with this, people will talk. Church, the neighborhood, your father's reputation. It was always about appearances, the illusion of unity, the performance of love rather than its reality. I let the voicemail sit unanswered because something more important arrived the next morning, confirmation from my accountant. Subject: account transfer confirmed, beach condo title finalized. It was done. Legally, irrevocably. That condo, their prized retirement gift, the crown jewel of their social standing, was now permanently separated from their financial portfolio, and the taxes they'd dodged were filed with interest. Tiffany emailed shortly after. "You've closed every door. Want to take it one step further?" My reply was immediate. "Yes, full audit. Start with the family trust. I want to know where every dollar went since 2017. Because they hadn't just called me a beggar. They'd built their entire lifestyle on my back. Now it was time to bill them for the chairs they never offered me. The trust audit peeled back layers I hadn't imagined existed. $18,700 withdrawn the week I graduated college, labeled emergency repairs, but actually a kitchen renovation for Victoria. $9,000 marked as education expenses that funded front row concert tickets and a spa weekend for my mother. $34,000 funneled into my father's vintage Mustang restoration, a car he once described as my reward for raising such responsible children. They'd bled that account dry, then had the nerve to call me the beggar. Is this criminal? I asked Tiffany. It can be, she replied carefully, if you want it to be. But I didn't want jail time. I wanted accountability. We filed a motion, request for financial recompense plus trust misuse documentation. They had 30 days to respond or settle privately. That's when the mask finally cracked. A text from my mother. I'm scared, Rachel. Please don't ruin the family over money. We'll make it right. I stared at it for a long time. No apology, no ownership, just fear. The only language they truly understood. I responded with a single line. Ruin. Your confusing ruin with reveal. The next day, Victoria posted on Instagram a filtered sunset with a lengthy caption. Some people only show up when there's money involved. Glad I know who my real family is. I didn't comment. I didn't need to. They could say whatever they wanted online, but in court, every word required proof. Every signature could be traced. Every dollar had to be accounted for. Suddenly, the daughter they'd dismissed as dramatic had become the authority they had to answer to. Their lawyer reached out on day 22. His tone was clipped, his language desperate beneath the legal jargon. He offered a private settlement, $50,000 in restitution, no admission of wrongdoing, and a mutual non-disclosure agreement. Tiffany chuckled when she read it. They're trying to seal the cracks before the neighbors peek in. But I didn't want money, not really. I wanted a record, proof that I wasn't just the black sheep, but the scapegoat, the silent benefactor, the unpaid lifeline. We declined. On day 25, my father broke his silence. He appeared at my office, the business they'd once dismissed as my little side gig. But that now employed 27 people across 2 states. He stood in the doorway, hat literally in hand, pride barely clinging to his shoulders. You've made your point, he said, but you're about to ruin us. Are you proud of that? I looked at him, the man who'd once told a room full of relatives that Victoria was the real success story, and replied calmly, No, I'm not proud. I'm tired. Tired of funding your life while being written out of your legacy. He tried to speak. I raised my hand. You called me a beggar. So I stopped giving, and suddenly everyone remembered what I was worth. He didn't apologize. He didn't cry. He just placed a folded check on my desk, blank, signed. I slid it back across the polished surface. This was never about your money, I said. It was about mine. When he left, I opened my email, a message from the court system. Trust disbursement fraud, preliminary hearing scheduled. The date was set for 3 weeks later. This time they'd have to show up, not to celebrate, but to answer. The hearing date spread through the family like a cracked pipe. Quiet at first, then flooding every group chat I was no longer included in. My cousin texted me directly to let me know everyone was talking about the court date, confirming what I already suspected. They hadn't believed I'd really go through with it. They never do. They expect silence. They expect shame. They expect the one they've pushed aside to keep the peace while they feast. But this time, I wasn't the help. I was the witness. Tiffany and I prepared everything. Timeline, account statements, screenshots of messages where I was asked to. Spot them just this once. All the invisible IOUs made visible. The night before the hearing, Victoria messaged me for the first time since the banquet. If you go through with this, I swear I'll never forgive you. No apology, no denial, just a warning, as if my peace required her permission. I didn't reply because some people don't want reconciliation. They want reinstatement of the version of you who stayed quiet. When the court date finally arrived, I walked into the sterile courtroom feeling surprisingly calm. My parents sat across the aisle with stiff backs and a lawyer who kept checking his watch. The judge asked straightforward questions. Tiffany answered them with math. She projected charts onto a screen, demonstrating how the condo payments came from my LLC, how the trust had been siphoned for personal gain. Vacations, spa days, cars, all under the guise of family needs. My parents' attorney objected, claimed informal arrangements, insisted this was just a misunderstanding blown out of proportion. The judge wasn't moved. She turned to me. "What outcome are you seeking, Miss Parker?" I stood, voice calm. "Truth on paper, that's all. Let the record match reality." She nodded. Granted, with that, my name was no longer just a footnote in their finances, it was the headline, and for once the room went quiet without anyone needing to escort me out. They didn't speak to me after the hearing. No calls, no letters, no. We didn't mean it. Just silence, the kind that comes when a performance ends and the lights go out. The judgment wasn't criminal, no handcuffs or headlines, but it was binding. The court ordered restitution of misused funds back into the trust where they belonged. The condo's title was permanently transferred to my name. My parents were removed from any future financial access to assets they hadn't earned. Tiffany called it elegant justice. I called it balance. Weeks passed. My phone stayed quiet, gloriously so. No requests, no emergencies, no guilt trip asks for. Just a little help this month. Then one envelope arrived. No stamp, no return address, just slid under my door. Inside, a single photograph from the family banquet. Everyone dressed in silver and navy, clinking glasses under crystal chandeliers. In the background, blurry but unmistakable, me, captured mid-turn, mid-leaving. The moment they erased me, memorialized by accident. On the back, someone had written, "This was the moment it all fell apart." I recognized Victoria's handwriting immediately, the same slanted script that had signed countless "I owe us" over the years. I held it for a long time, then walked it to my shredder, because what fell apart wasn't family. It was the illusion of it, the one they'd built with my money, my silence, my desperate need to belong. And once that illusion burned away, what remained wasn't ashes. It was freedom. I created a new folder that day. Parker Foundation, a grant for first-generation women putting themselves through school without family support. The initial funding came from a condo sale. Mine. 6 months later, I've had no direct contact with my parents or Victoria. Our relationship has ended permanently by mutual, unspoken agreement. Sometimes the healthiest family resolution is distance, maintained with the same commitment I once gave to financing their lives. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.
Asterisk after listening to today's story, perhaps it has raised some new questions in your mind, or maybe it has brought back some old memories. Every day on Reddit, new experiences and moments create fresh stories, and they connect all of us. Everyone has their own unique journey in life, and we all try to understand the world in our own way. These kinds of moments remind us that we are all human, sometimes happy, sometimes sad, and always learning something new. If you enjoyed this story, feel free to share it with your friends. Your thoughts and feedback are always valuable to us, as they motivate us to create even better content. Every story has its own unique angle, and our goal is to understand everyone's perspective and make our content diverse and relatable. Stories like these help us realize that life's journey is different for everyone, and by hearing other stories, we learn something new. You can also share your own stories with us. Your experiences are valuable to us as well, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave your feedback. We aim to create content that brightens your mind and gives you new ideas every time. If you've already seen this video before, your feedback is still important. With every piece of feedback, we can improve our content and bring a new perspective to our viewers. Today, what we saw was just a small part of the many stories shared on Reddit and across the world. It's a reminder of how we all try to understand life by sharing our experiences with each other. This video was only an example of how we try to connect with others through storytelling, learning about different sides of life. We hope to continue sharing such stories that help us all learn and grow together. Thank you for your time, and don't forget to keep an eye out for more stories coming soon. If you haven't already, please like and follow for more amazing content. Your support keeps us going, and we will strive to bring you more thought-provoking and heartwarming stories. Until next time, take care and stay curious. Asterisk.